Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, August 30th, 2024. You know what that means, friends. It's time for me to answer all of your burning questions live. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks for watching. Be sure you hit that like, follow, or subscribe button right now, wherever you're watching, so you never miss when NORML goes live. We try to do it every week. Hey, drop a note in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Thanks everyone who just joined us on Instagram. Hey Alex, good to see you. Good to see you. Hey Nick, welcome back, friend. What's going on? Hey, the Ultimate Acres. Good to see you. TWF Laurel. Laurel, as in Maryland, as in where? Hey, unapologetically Joy. Watching from Atlanta. Good to see you. Good, I did guess correctly. Maryland. Hey, Alex in North Carolina. Hey, Charlene in El Paso. Hey, Cornbread in Woodbridge. Hey, Rob in Vermont. Hey, Amanda in LA. Believe also in LA. I love it. I love it. I love it. We're going to talk about all the latest in cannabis policy and science news today. But if you have questions, I want to try and answer them. So drop those in the comments as well. All right. While you all come up with your amazing questions, we had so many great questions last week. It was incredible. So let's go. At the top, I have two big stories at the top of the list. Do I even know which one is gonna? I know which one's gonna be more popular, but we're gonna do this one first. Okay, the DEA announced that it intends to hold a hearing on rescheduling. Those of you who've been playing along at home, could you please make big thank you? Know that this is entirely what we expected would happen. And in fact, it's what's happened. So the notice first became available online, I think yesterday. It was published yesterday, but we had a little advance notice earlier in the week, the 26th, I believe. Whatever the 26th was. Monday. That's how time works. And what remains unknown now at this point is who will participate in the hearing process. The notice does instruct interested and aggrieved parties who wish to participate to file a written notice of intention to participate, and then the notices will be reviewed by the DEA, and the DEA administrator will make a determination of participants. We also don't know how long the hearing process could take. Hearings that were held on cannabis scheduling in the 80s took place over several years. Now, this hearing is scheduled to commence on Monday, December 2nd. So, after the election. Nick, that is my other top story. I'm getting there, Nick. Don't worry. Don't worry. Hi, Ian. Good to see you, friend. The LA crew is here today. I don't know what that is, and I don't have time to look it up. That looks Ugh, that looks like a no, whatever that is. Um, let's talk about it, Nick. Let's talk about it. Hey, healing soulfully in Arizona. Good to see you. So as Nick mentioned, thanks, Nick. Nick says, "How about the Second Amendment news out of it's circuit court?" But yes, there is some Second Amendment news. So what happened earlier this week? Judges, that is incorrect. Judges on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals have once again, it's an important part, once again uh, rejected arguments that cannabis consumers can be barred federally um, from owning firearms. Looks like there's a typo there. Ultimately, in this case, they ruled that American Second Amendment rights cannot be infringed solely based on one's prior cannabis use. Ian, you're coming to PBC. I've spoken at PBC a number of times, Ian. I will not be there this year, but I always think of you when I get their email. So I'm glad that you're coming to DC for that conference. Happy Friday, Wade. Good to see you. Good to see you. So yeah, so look, this group, this show, we haven't had a guns and weed question for a minute. Did we answer that question enough that we're finally done asking it? I don't think we are. Who wants us to do a live specifically on the guns and weed? Who wants us to do a live specifically on rescheduling? You can say both, but vote in the comments. Guns, we maybe use emoji so that we don't get the live shut down. The Ultimate Acres on Instagram. I wish that Instagram let me show your comments in StreamYard, but it doesn't. So I just have to awkwardly read it. But on Instagram, we have a great question from someone in Arizona who asks if there's any news on Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10 products and the dangers with them, and if there's any news on more healthy ways to process concentrates without butane or CO2. So let's parse this into the question you asked about products. That's key. Products that are labeled Delta 8, labeled Delta 9, labeled Delta 10, labeled whatever. All of this unregulated stuff that's out there. So products that you do not purchase at a state licensed dispensary. That's what we're talking about. And we we have a story this week about that, unsurprisingly. So let me drop a link to that. And I know you're watching on Instagram, so if you want to read these stories that I'm referencing right now, you can just head to the NORML website, norml.org, click on either the front page, you're going to have a few of the stories, but then the rest of these stories will be in the news section. Now, you can just get these delivered to your inbox every Thursday and Saturday by subscribing to NORML News, norml.org/subscribe. But let's talk about it. So there's a study done, and this is about Delta 8, specifically Delta 8 THC product exposures and calls to poison control centers specific to these types of unregulated products. States that don't have legal cannabis access, unsurprisingly, have a much higher rate of calls to poison control centers for incidents related to Delta 8 products. And researchers who did this study reported that the majority of Delta 8 exposures nationwide occurred in the southern region of the US where adult use is largely prohibited. The only state in the South that's legalized adult use is Virginia, and there's no retail access here. Virginia's tried a number of approaches to address the proliferation of unregulated products and the potential health risks they pose to consumers. A lot of states are taking similar approaches, but hey, here's an idea. If you have access to products that are tested, then maybe buy those at a licensed dispensary. But yeah, the problem is not necessarily, right. The problem with these products is not with the cannabinoid. It's not with Delta 8. It's not with Delta 9. It's not with Delta 10. Now, I'm not talking about THCO and THCP. Those are different. They're problematic, as is HHC. Those are things you just don't need to pick up regardless. But we're talking about these different types of Delta THC. The problem isn't with the cannabinoid itself. It's with the product. And when the product is unregulated, you have no way as a consumer to know what's in it. And these are made with synthesized cannabinoids. Now, the fact that a cannabinoid has been synthesized is a synthetic, also not the issue. It's how they're synthesized. And they, there's CBDs extracted from some plant somewhere, whatever type it is, doesn't really matter. There's CBD that's extracted, and then that is put through a process that involves acid and heat, and in a well-regulated environment, the product would be remediated before given to consumers. You have no idea if that's happening. So you have the potential for contamination, not only from the acids that are used to make these synthetics, but also other ingredients that can be risky to humans. So yuck. There you go. I hope that answered your question, the ultimate acres. Thanks for going down that rabbit hole. Let me scroll up here and catch up on some of those other comments as well. Oh, Humble, thank you for the invite to your event. If you want to tell us more about it, and you can just email me, and then I'll know. Thank you, Tree. Hi, Tree. Hi, Tree. Sorry, I missed so many comments up here. Okay. Wade, it's interesting that you mentioned this, going back to the ruling on the blanket gun ban for cannabis consumers. If you read the blog, Wade, which I'm sure you already have, they actually they use the word alcoholics in there because that's the word the judges use. The judges, trying to scroll through it real quick. Throughout its opinion, the court acknowledged that no historical precedent exists for stripping alcoholics of their Second Amendment rights. And the court concludes, quote, "The government provides no meaningful response to the fact that neither Congress nor the states disarmed alcoholics, the group most closely analogous to marijuana users in the 18th and 19th centuries. Our history and tradition may support some limits on a presently intoxicated person's right to carry a weapon, but they do not support disarming a sober person based solely on past substance usage," end quote. So just since you brought that up, Wade, yeah. Fred, you would like Guns and Weed live. Tree, you would like rescheduling. Wait, it's too early in the show for that question. Uh-huh. Wait, I don't know if you can say that word. I can. Hey, ma'ams, welcome back. I don't know the answer to your question, honestly, Wade. The case is U.S. v. Connolly. That's what I know. So interesting. It's not going to cause a revision on the form. No. No. Oh, Humble, thank you for asking this question. Also, Humble, I want you to tell me where you heard this. Humble says, is it true, Jushi? It's the true. Jushi's a medical cannabis company that operates in many states, but also in Virginia, and that's where Humble is. So they're asking about this, I think, in the Virginia context. Is it true that Jushi is getting political? Yes. And going against personal growing? No, absolutely not. Jushi couldn't care less. No medical operator in Virginia cares at all about personal cultivation, other than they're all perfectly supportive of it. I read nonsense like that on the interwebs all the time, and I'd love to like figure out where it comes from, other than people have feelings and they think that they're right. No, I don't care. Hi, Samuel. Good to see you. I don't know what that means, Humble. Hi, Anne Elizabeth. Welcome back. Thanks for coming back to our show. Thank you. Samuel would like everyone to know that you were wrong on the violent femmes date. September 7th is when Cherokee starts selling adult use cannabis to the general public. Cherokee is tribal land in North Carolina. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, great. So you'll be going to Violent Femmes on October 5th in your NORML t-shirt. Got it, Samuel. Everyone else can go to Cherokee on September 7th. Please don't go to jail, because North Carolina is scary. Yes, very grain of salt. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you, Humble. I appreciate it. Hi, Ryan. Happy Friday to you. Welcome back. Happy Labor Day weekend also. Anne Elizabeth has a question. Can I talk about DREs, drug recognition experts, and being able to cross your eyes? I have not heard that. Tell me more. Tell me more. Is that a thing? Is that something drug recognition experts? Let's see if I can Google it to see if anything comes up. Is that all I'm getting is cross-examination? Oh, I see one from 2015. I see a media hit on this from 2015. Oh, okay. And I found some drug recognition expert flashcards that talk about crossing eyes. This is wild. Okay. To tell it. Oh, I see. Thank you, Anne, for sharing this. They run circles and then go to your nose, and you're supposed to cross your eyes. Okay. My recommendation is avoid drug recognition experts at all costs. If you don't drive impaired, then It's going to be like, not you personally. I mean, you also could be included in this statement. I'm just saying, look, no one should drive high or impaired for any reason. It's dangerous, irresponsible, and stupid. Got it. Okay, Wade. Wade would like everyone to know 10 a.m., September 7th, 91 Bingo Loop Road in Cherokee, North Carolina is when and where adult use sales will begin. Oh my gosh. Thank you, The Ultimate Acres, for sharing all of that with us. Politico 420. The Supreme Court hasn't said anything about that we're aware of about Second Amendment. Mm-mm. Hi, Radhika. I see you. All right. Well, glad we went down that weird rabbit hole together. Let's see. We did 1, 2, 3. We did 3 stories already. We're doing great. Now here come 3 stories that we're going to call news, but you know, you've probably heard these songs before. Don't stop me though. Okay, listen. Cannabis use. Cannabis use. Oh, someone mentioned Virginia prices, and we can talk about that in a second. Cannabis use is correlated with lower rates of obesity and lower BMI, lower body mass index. We've seen analyses on this before. We published on another one as well. Hey, Mike, welcome back. Good to see you. This person says, Virginia prices are driving me out of state. Yeah, that's pretty consistent with what the study, we'll call it, that was done for the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority talked about how a number of survey respondents, because that's really who's answering it, that's what they're basing this on. People who answered their questions said that, yeah, they go to other states to buy cannabis because prices are high here. I mean, I guess if you're like in the north end of the state and you have the ability to go into Maryland or to DC, Maryland where there is adult use, DC where there's whatever that is, then you could perhaps have the option to do that, even though it's not legal to transport cannabis across state lines. That's what people do. But in Virginia, I bring this up because you asked the question or made the statement, and I was reading some questions on Facebook about this as well. Let's look at, let's compare Maryland and Virginia, for example. Maryland has about 100 dispensaries and about 6.1 million people. 100 dispensaries, 6.1 million people. Virginia has 8.5 million people, and we have 2, 3, 4, 23, just 23 dispensaries. So if you're looking for, now I'm suddenly, Tamara, are you watching? Go count. If you're wondering why prices are still high in Virginia, it's because we don't have enough dispensaries. We have a whole section of the state that's still missing any license. So that more dispensaries means more consumers. More consumers means lower prices. There we go. Anyhow, the only way to change that in Virginia is through legislation. In Virginia, you have not elected good people on this. Your governor is not going to let any expansion happen. I don't think that Republicans in general that have been elected to the General Assembly are oppositional toward medical cannabis program expansions. They don't typically vote against it. But you have some Democrats in power that are terrible on cannabis, and they think they know everything, when in fact they don't really care about it, and they just use it as a political football, and hang you all out to dry in the process. So, I don't know, demand better of the people you elect. Stop believing liars. Yeah. Wade, I don't know how you lower your BMI. I don't know those answers. We're just gonna call you Socks, okay? Hey, Socks. Socks wants to know the status of our. God, the guy's cleaning my window, and it scares me every time. Anyone know the status of Arkansas signature gathering? Is it officially on the ballot? No, it is not officially on the ballot. They were given more time, I believe, to collect signatures, and that's the last update we have on Arkansas. If anyone's in Arkansas or connected to that ballot initiative process, drop a comment for us. Hi, Jess, watching on Instagram. Good to see you. Hey, Mr. Brink on Instagram. Asking about Virginia and the lack of dispensaries in your region of the state. Next week, I put it on my calendar. Let's see if I can look that up real quick. The Cannabis Control Authority has a 30-minute virtual meeting scheduled on Thursday, September 5th at 9 a.m. Thursday, September 5th at 9 a.m. Let me see if I can paste that here. Oh, I'm sorry. You are on Instagram, but I'm going to put it on here. You can also go to the CCA website to find it. I'm dropping it in our comments. So if you're looking for this link, you can see it on YouTube, on Facebook. That appears to be the only place comments are posting. But it's there. Yeah, so they're going to do a 30-minute virtual meeting on Thursday morning to talk about the status of the license application process for your health service area. As you may have heard, there were a number of applications that were submitted by the same group, and I think that's been giving people pause. Hey, Anne asks, is one of NORML's goals the passage of national legalization legislation if we get a compliant Congress? Yes, of course. So NORML's position is that in order to end the conflict between state and federal cannabis laws, marijuana needs to be removed entirely from the Federal Controlled Substances Act, not rescheduled, descheduled, removed from the CSA altogether, so that states can set their own cannabis policies without any threat of federal interference, just like they do for alcohol and tobacco. Alcohol and tobacco are not scheduled, and they are arguably present greater risk to consumers than cannabis does. So yes, we have long been vocal about the need to remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act, and the only way to do that is through Congress. Congress has to pass a bill that does that. We have action alerts for legislation that would do that on our website right now in our Take Action Center. You can find those at norml.org/act. Oh, Samuel, I really would want to read these just a little bit more to know specific, because there could be more things at play here. But Samuel is talking about North Carolina, which is where Cherokee tribal land that will begin selling adult use in North Carolina inside of North Carolina, but cannabis is illegal in North Carolina. But Samuel says, so if under half an ounce is decriminalized in North Carolina, shouldn't we be good as long as you don't have more than a half ounce? Great question. We'll look into that, but is there an open container law specific to marijuana in North Carolina? That's my next question. That's my first question, is like, but wait, is there more? Mans. So we talked about, I think you were here when I started talking about this, but if not, I'll say it again. Mans asks about Virginia. With Virginia dispensaries, is there a type of price fixing? No, there isn't. It seems prices are pretty uniform for product. Is this just a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. There are 4 licenses have been issued in Virginia. There is potential for 5 total, because licenses are issued to a single provider by region. So each region belongs to one provider. The good news is they can wholesale to each other. So you can get products from the other companies at your local dispensary. So that's why you see pricing being fairly consistent, because if it's, let's say that the company down in Southwest, Rise, let's say Rise has a product that's $40 there. It's going to be $40 or maybe like $41, $42 when it goes to another dispensary. So it's going to be pretty consistent. Also, keep in mind, if you're looking at a delivery menu versus the in-store menu, the delivery menu is going to have that delivery charge sort of baked into the price. So it's going to be higher price on the delivery menu than it is in the not delivery menu. Carlos says, I'm surprised Florida is dropping the ball on legalizing. Okay, Carlos, so they haven't dropped it yet. Amendment 3 is on the ballot this November in Florida to legalize adult use. It's a constitutional amendment, so that means it requires 60% of the vote, not just a simple majority. Otherwise, I haven't dropped the ball yet. Polling's been all over the place on this. So if you are in Florida, if you know anybody in Florida, please tell them to make a plan to vote, get to the polls, and vote yes on 3, so Florida can finally get it done. Thank you, Jason. I laughed at myself as I was saying baked into the price as well. So I'm glad you did too. Oh. Yeah, it is. Yeah, thank you, the Ultimate Acres, for mentioning alcohol and tobacco. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Oh, let me scroll back over here on Instagram. I think I missed a few questions. Politico 420 is asking if I believe all 3 ballot initiatives will pass in November. Which all 3? The 3 that we have, because there could be more. That's why I'm saying that. So I'm going to talk about the ones that we know are qualified and that that we have posted in Election Central. So you can see that at norml.org/election. We just talked about Amendment 3 in Florida. Polling's been pretty tight on that. So I think there is a pathway for voters to get the job done in Florida, but it's close right now. North Dakota is taking another swing at adult use. I've seen some polling on that, and I think that New Economic Frontier did a really great job with this initiative. I hope that they are able to get voters to the polls on this. This ballot initiative in North Dakota, though, okay, yeah, so it does, it would legalize possession, personal cultivation, and retail sale. Hopefully that's enough to influence voters to get to the polls this time and vote yes on it this time. And then South Dakota is coming back around again as well. They also have qualified their ballot initiative for adult use, but it does not include retail sales. So it would only legalize possession and personal cultivation. I haven't seen any recent polling on the South Dakota initiative. I don't know. Oh, the Ultimate Acres. I don't know what you were talking about. You said it's your son's birthday. Are we talking about the Cannabis Control Authority meeting in Virginia that I mentioned at 9 a.m.? That would be Eastern time. No, the Ultimate Acres on Instagram asks, is there a national cease and desist on random police or federal harassment for state card-holding medical consumers? Sort of. Not really. I mean, not in that sort of. So the federal Department of Justice cannot spend any money to interfere in state-sanctioned medical cannabis operations. So, and there was some comment about this by someone from the federal government recently in the past week or so about whether or not they would go after people for cannabis possession, not specific to medical. They did mention that there is that the DOJ can't interfere, but they were talking about, I believe, more in an adult use capacity, and how they said that's not really our focus. Personal possession isn't our focus. It's trafficking. But no, there's nothing like if you have medical cannabis in your state, I don't know why anyone would be bothering you. But if you're in a state where you don't have medical cannabis, then there's no protection for you it's state specific. Thank you, Politico, for clarifying Florida and both Dakotas. hope I covered that for you. Okay. All right. I think I caught up. Jeff, thank you for asking this question, and I wish Lauren and or Matt were here. I haven't. Can you tell me more, Jeff, about I'm gonna text the Kentucky people right now. Question from live. Are Kentucky patients going to have to renew? That sounds absurd. Every 60 days? Okay, I need, Jeff, I need to know where that came from. Tell me more. Tell me more. So that I can read it myself. I also just texted the Kentucky people. Kentucky NORML is really good about answering questions on their, if you message them on, if you email them or if you message them on the interwebs. So if they don't get back to me to answer this question during the show, then just email them. Urban Legends, no, this is not pre-recorded. I mean, you can watch it afterward, You can watch it back on our YouTube, on our Facebook, on our LinkedIn, and on our Twitter. They stay there. It does not stay on Instagram. Instagram just lets it stream during the live. But no, it says live, and it's 100% live right now. Okay, so I want to get that answer for you, Jeff, and hopefully one of them will get back to me. Hey, Billy, thanks for, oh, okay, Billy, I'm glad that you joined your local NORML chapter. Awesome. You didn't hear anything from them, though. That's unfortunate. Billy, you are welcome to email me at normal@normal.org, and then I can reach out to them and say, hey, did you know Billy joined? Maybe send Billy a welcome email or something. Billy, if you join NORML, you're going to get a membership card, though. It's going to come right out of this drawer. It's going to look just like this. Trying to not get the glare. Yep. And I'm gonna put it in an envelope myself and mail it to you. normal.org/join. Okay. Okay, Jeff, back to your question. So I messaged Kentucky NORML, and their response is no. State registrations last for 1 year. I hope that answers your question, Jeff. It was something you had read? Okay, yeah. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, nope, it is. Lauren has confirmed that state registrations last for 1 year. Got it. Got a whole stack of what started? Oh, of course. Cards. Of course you do. Membership has its privileges, says Samuel. Other than a super deluxe card from me, what other privileges does it have? That warm feeling of doing something? I thought so. Oh, Urban, I can't show Urban watching on Instagram. Instagram doesn't integrate properly with this platform, so I can't show Instagram questions. I can only read them, and I've got got 2 Instagram screens on one side, and then I can see all of the Facebook pages and YouTube comments in this platform. I'm not seeing any Twitter or LinkedIn questions today, though. Oh, wait, I do see. Nope, I don't. Oh, yes, I do. Billy is watching on Twitter, so I know that's working. I'm not seeing any Instagram questions so far. But yeah, that's Urban. That's why you're not seeing questions. I just answer them. I just read them. Yeah, definitely get connected with San Diego NORML. Absolutely. I think if there would be a lot of changes I'd make if this were AI. Thank you, thank you. Hey, local watching on Instagram. Okay, Pam, let's read Pam's question. Pam says, how are we any closer to recreational and licensing? I work in the DC market and haven't been able to keep up with my state. Do you mean in DC or do you mean in Virginia? The answer is no for both. So, no, if you are talking about DC, Congress is the problem. Virginia, thank you for clarifying. No, we're not. Well, we are because we're 1 year closer to the current governor not being the governor, which is the current problem in Virginia. But you need to make good choices, Virginia, when you vote for the next governor. if you don't elect a governor who will sign an adult use bill, then you're going to get 4 more years of what you are not enjoying right now. Thanks, Radhika. Yeah, yes, we are stagnant in Virginia. So we did pass the adult use legislation and put it on the governor's desk. Was it a good bill? No, it was not. We put a bill on the governor's desk. The administration, the governor, wanted to amend the bill. The bill sponsor was not willing to meet with the governor, and so he just vetoed it. Neat. I know what you said, Radhika. I know what you said. I think I'm just gonna keep that inside. Let's do some more news. Hey everyone, if you've just joined us in the past few minutes, I'm here to answer your burning questions. So if you have questions, drop them in the comments. Samuel, don't tell people to do that. That's gross. You have no idea what you're getting. Hi, Mike. I see you just joined. It's good to see you, friend. All right. Oh, I have two little newses left for you. Again, more of the surprise. Not a surprise. Public support for legalizing marijuana has grown significantly over the past decade. In case you didn't know that, it has. But since you're watching this show, you probably do know that. This particular analysis looked at a bunch of data and determined that public support grew from an average of 53% in 2015 to an average of 62% today. Now, depending on what poll you're looking at, you might get a much higher number than 62%, but this was the average. Blue Ox, you nailed it. You nailed it. Jeff, thank you for sharing that with me because it seemed kind of familiar. And I was like, I think this is like an initial proposal. And I knew that Kentucky had been working on proposing some more pragmatic regulations. Yeah. So I think that I believe what Lauren said. 1 year for Kentucky. Okay, yeah. Hi, Santa Fe. Let's thank you, Lauren. Jeff, Lauren just jumped in the comments and did drop a link to a guidance document for medical cannabis in Kentucky. Santa Fe asks, Santa Fe, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Santa Fe asks, is recreational weed legal for all Americans yet? No. Santa Fe is tired of these freedoms, rights, and equality divisions. We're all Americans and deserve our rights. Yeah. Also, thank you for your cat emoji. Oh, and your cat picture. I love cats. No, it's not legal nationally. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Lauren, thank you. That's what I thought it was, because I remember going through those regs with you and Matt and being like, this doesn't sound like the best proposal. Right. So Lauren is the deputy director of Kentucky NORML, says 60 days is the original language and it has since changed. And Lauren will be updating the Kentucky NORML website to reflect that soon. Thank you. You have a good holiday weekend, Mike. Ultimate Acres is asked if Texas is fighting. Oh, and Politico, you also mentioned Texas. Is there any hope at all for Texas legalization? Look, if we can legalize adult use in Virginia, you can do it anywhere. Here's the thing. If you elect Texas, if you continue to elect people who are terrible on cannabis policy, you will get terrible cannabis policy. And that's really what's going on in Texas. Now, you will see when you put it to the voters in Texas, which is happening at the local level, there have been a number of depenalization measures that have been put on the ballot and successfully passed by Ground Game Texas. They are doing some great organizing at the local level there. Voters say yes to removing criminal penalties for personal possession. But you all have elected a significant number of clowns to your state legislature. They are not helping you out there. You have a medical program that you could do some things with. You got to lean into that, Texas. You make some improvements there. Same thing for any other state that does not yet have adult use. If you have a medical program and it's limited, it's not where you want it to be, that's okay. Start there. Start improving that. Take the temperature of your legislature, understand where those people are coming from, and do something that will be emotionally comfortable for those folks. Not because you think it's the best policy choice, but because it is the step forward that is available to you. There's a lot of idealism in advocacy work, and people are like, I want all these things, and if I don't get them, then I'm taking my ball and going home. And that's a really terrible approach. You have to be willing to take these small steps to be the person who stands up and says, yeah, let's pass this super not sexy bill. The advocates who are going to whine and complain about it and say that's not good enough, they're a dime a dozen. Be the voice of sanity and reason that says, hey, this is a step forward, so let's take it. Same thing if you're in a state that does not have anything yet. Start with a small medical access bill. Once you've elected people, whether you voted for them or not, once they're in office, that's who you have to work with. And you're going to have to find common ground so that you can take steps forward together. Right. Tree, that's the problem, right? You might do a great job at voting, but people around you do a terrible job at voting. Also, people don't vote. Like, go vote. Take people with you. Get other people to vote. If more people voted, we'd have better elected officials. Yes. Yeah. I really want to read your comment, Politico. Politico says expanding on these available heavily restricted medical systems, like Texas's, is a great take. Thank you for being on this side of progress. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Like you just it's. I remember when we first started. I and a colleague of mine really first started doing this work in Virginia, and neither of us were leaders in this organization at that point. And there was a great division amongst the activists who were like, oh, we're not going to support that medical cannabis bill because it wasn't perfect enough for them. And we just thought that was absurd. Like, well, if this section of people could just not go to jail, that's fewer people going to jail. That seems like a good place to start. And turns out we were right and the other people were wrong and left. And we went from nothing to some, we passed the bill that year. We got some limited allowance for medical cannabis passed in Virginia. And 6 years later, we had adult use because we were willing to just keep pushing You got to find that sweet spot. The Ultimate Acres asks, do we just write all of our legislature to put them onto legalizing and responsibly regulate cannabis? Where do I start? Yeah, you sure can. You can find a ton of resources on the NORML website. Our fact sheets are really great for sharing with your lawmakers. And as far as action alerts, most state legislatures have um, concluded their work for the year. Not all of them, but the majority of them. But there still may be action alerts pending in your state. It depends on what state you're in. You can find those in our Take Action Center at norml.org/act. We try to make it really easy for you to talk to your legislators about cannabis. Blue Ox, I do not disagree with this. Blue Ox says Harris and Walz should make legalization part of their platform. Absolutely. Now, I will say that both of them have been very progressive when it comes to cannabis. VP Harris is the first major party candidate to ever call for cannabis legalization. If you want to read VP Harris's comments or Governor Walz's comments on cannabis legalization, you can see that in our Smoke the Vote voter guide. That is at vote.norml.org, vote.norml.org. And then, of course, Walz was very supportive of legalization in his state as well. But we agree, it should absolutely be a part of their platform. Unfortunately, it's not really a kitchen table topic. Mitch watching on Twitter was Radica. I'm just going to put, okay, Mitch, you got me listening. No, I don't want to read about. I don't want to read about that. Okay, Mitch, if there's a tweet about that, I want to see it. I am not saying anything. I'm only seeing comments about, oh, it's yours. Okay. We haven't seen okay, here's what Mitch says. Take this, and I haven't read this, I haven't seen this, I didn't get anything. I haven't seen any comments from him about this. But Mitch says that a Republican senator liked multiple tweets about Trump coming out in support of 3 in Florida. I haven't seen Trump come out in support of Amendment 3. The last we heard is that he planned to let us know, not us personally, but America, know how he intended to vote on Amendment 3 soon. I guess soon is a relative term because we haven't. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Don't you love when we try to do social media in the middle of a show? I am gonna look. I'm looking right now. I see your stuff. Oh, thank you for reposting Tom Angel's. I mean, it looks like Nebraska's Secretary of State announced that there will be 2 medical cannabis legalization initiatives on the November ballot. Good job, Nebraska. I think I see what you're saying. If he came out, is that what you're saying, Mitch? If he came out in support of it? I haven't seen him come out in support of it, that's all. All right. Okay, okay. Hi, old scalawag. What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you, okay, Mitch, I'm glad we all did that together. But look, hey, you asked that question, and then it it gave me the Tom Angel comment, which I'm just gonna retweet that right now. There we go. That's what you do on a Friday at 5:04. You just retweet Tom Angel. Congrats, Nebraska, for putting 2 medical cannabis legalization initiatives on the November ballot. It looks like the 2 initiatives are the Patient Protection Act and the Medical Cannabis Regulation Act. I'm presuming that there are 2 initiatives so as not to violate any single subject rules or anything that the state might have. Yeah, they turned in 114,000 signatures for each proposal, and 89,000 have been verified so far, surpassing the 87,000 signature requirement. Nice. This is the 3rd time that the campaign has attempted to let voters decide on medical cannabis legalization in recent years. Again, congrats, Nebraskans for medical marijuana. Love that. Okay. Yep. That's great. I'm not going to add that to Election Central tonight. I'm going to do that on Tuesday, if that's okay with everyone. Oh, you're not wrong, Santa Fe. Politico420 on Instagram asks, is there any hope for descheduling or rescheduling under a second Trump administration? So descheduling, removing marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Altogether, that's Congress. And so that would require that the Senate and the House at the federal level be controlled by Democrats in order to pass that legislation. That's just the truth of the matter. And that alone may not be enough to pass a descheduling bill, but that's what would be required. At the very base level would be Democratic majority in both chamber, and then a president that would sign such a bill. So thank you, Ultimate, for joining us. Yeah, and secondly, a Trump administration could significantly delay, if not derail, the rescheduling process altogether. Urban asking about endorsements, that would come from your local NORML chapter. NORML chapters do endorsements, so you can certainly reach out to your local chapter if you're looking for an endorsement. If you're in San Diego, so that's a state that has legalization, you would be looking at very consumer-specific policies. So, like if someone's running for office in Alabama, they're going to need to have different positions to someone running for office in California or Colorado or somewhere that's had legalization for a hot minute. Being supportive of legalization in and of itself isn't enough because, that already exists. But you do have to be supportive of protecting consumers from being treated like second-class citizens. That's the short version of that. Ellie, I'm so glad I made that face. Radhika, I'm not going to say those words out loud, but I am going to ask you to let me know. I don't know. It probably mentions like drugs or something. Someone let me know the answer to that question. Sean asked, any idea when we can start selling and buying in Virginia? You got to pass a bill, Virginia. You got to pass a bill. So here's what's going to happen in Virginia. There's going to be a bill again in the 2025 General Assembly. It's probably going to suck just as much as this year's bill did. Will it get to the governor's desk again? Probably. Will he veto it again? Probably. He has no reason to sign an adult use bill. He didn't like it this year. He wanted to amend it. The patron wouldn't meet with him, and so he vetoed the bill. Now, there is a flavor of retail access that could be put on the governor's desk that he is more likely to sign. But the Democrats currently carrying adult use aren't interested in that bill. They're not interested in a pragmatic approach in a step forward, if you will. That's not everything everyone wants. They're not interested in that. They're interested in using adult use retail as a political football for their own gain, and that sucks. Because up until this point, we haven't had that type of nonsense surrounding cannabis in the Virginia General Assembly, and we do now, and that's very unfortunate. So you got to get through this next session of nothing. Then there'll be an election next November in Virginia for governor. You have to elect a governor who doesn't suck on cannabis, Virginia. So do that, and then put a bill on that person's desk. The real ganja queen, it is always time to push for descheduling. We have an action alert for that in NORML's Take Action Center. I think it's the first one on that page, norml.org/act. It has in fact been that, Sean. That is an accurate statement. Sibling would be the correct word. Someone's mentioning the Farm Bill, and so I'm just going to say this. The Farm Bill has to be signed by the sitting president every year. The sitting president doesn't have anything to do with the Farm Bill. The fact that a president signs a Farm Bill, that's their job. It has to be signed. They're not responsible for it. Like, we hear this, oh, well, President Trump legalized hemp. He did not. He signed the Farm Bill because he was the sitting president and has to sign the Farm Bill. If we're talking about who legalized hemp, arguably Mitch McConnell's the dude that's most responsible for that. Just to clear that up. Yes, Samuel, many states need new governors, and Virginia is one of them. Radhika, that's very interesting. I don't know who was having that talk about a one-year pilot for retail sales. There will be no pilot for retail sales. That's not a thing that's realistic. Let's be real here. You're not putting you're not putting that toothpaste back in the tube. We already have retail sales for cannabis in Virginia. We just have medical cannabis access. Now, we could be like literally every other state that has expanded from medical to adult use. We could be like every other state and begin sales at our existing operators. And like, I get it. That doesn't, suit everyone's business needs or create new economic opportunity. But here's the thing, as you well know, but for everyone who doesn't, legalization isn't about who gets to make a buck first or next off the backs of consumers. Legalization is about consumers. You don't have an industry without consumers. So let's, collectively stop putting consumers at the back of the line and stop whining, not you again, because you're delightful. Let's not, wring our hands and whine about the business model and how it doesn't suit our needs and it's not perfect. So I don't want anything. Like, come on. If consumers need to come first. So we absolutely could pass legislation in Virginia. We could put a bill on the governor's desk, let's say, that let sales begin at existing operators. We could do that. I don't think the Democrats that are currently in the Virginia General Assembly now that have been anointed as the cannabis people, I don't think they want to do that because I don't think they actually care about pragmatic cannabis policies. I said that with my outlaw voice. But we could pass that bill. And it's almost like you knew the answer to this question before you asked it. Anne says, is there an increase in voter turnout when legalizing pot is on the ballot? Yes. Yes, there is. And in fact, when legalization is on the ballot, it typically receives more votes than other issues. So, yes. Yes, it does. Well, I don't think so. Which state would I cite as the model for retail sales? None of them. I wouldn't, because I think I wouldn't. I mean, also it depends on what, do you mean licensing structure? Do you mean having a made up number of licenses that it's limited to, or having no number of licenses? I think ideally the issuance of licenses and the capacity, the volume of licenses, that should be determined by the regulator. The regulator should have the authority to make those determinations. Let's use a state that has a legislative session every year, like Virginia. You can make up a number and say there's only going to be 400 retail licenses in this state. But if you have a legislative session every year, you can change that number every year. But that's an emotional comfort tool that people that we keep electing to office, they like to lean on that crutch. Like, oh, we said it's only going to be this many. It's not going to be a pot shop on every corner. Okay, bro, whatever. But there's a legislative session every year, so you can make up a new number every year. I think that you can get parts. I think you can find good parts from a lot of states. And thank you, Queen. Yes. Do I think we lost traction by adopting recreational terminology and policy or medical? I think that we should use, I personally, if I'm talking to you all, I'll say weed. I will, that's fine. We say marijuana, but if you're talking about policy, you're talking to policymakers, then we should use appropriate language. So we don't say recreational, we say adult use, because what does recreational mean? It doesn't really speak to the policy. But if you say adult use, that's very clear. You're talking about adults. We don't care why adults are using it. We care that they're adults. So I think that it is incredibly important when you're talking to the media, when you're talking to lawmakers, when you're talking to regulators, to use language that they can find a level of emotional comfort with, and that can be helpful. California is the best example of how not to do it. Blue Ox, can you just give me the TLDR on that PDF you sent me? I can't, it won't let me copy the text in this platform, so I can't just, I wish I could just copy it and put it in there and open it. Also, then I'd have to open that document on my computer, and that's gross. What happens to ONDCP under that entity? Tell me. And you're right, words do matter. Words matter. Politico, it's funny that you mentioned that about Oklahoma, and No, I think Oklahoma has its own problems where their market is super saturated. I Ristafarian, I have not talked about that, and I do not know about Eric Adams and burning. I don't know. Now I do. Video shows 4 tons of illegal marijuana burned by the mayor. Did the mayor like throw the match on it? Okay, I see he did. Okay, that is something. That's a choice. Yeah. It looks like they picked up unregulated, untested cannabis and burned it. Really don't care. We're we're not a business association. And it doesn't sound like these were regulated businesses, so make good choices. Yeah, look,
How you doing?
play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Oh, thank you, Blue Ox. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, so pretty ambiguous. Shocking. Thank you, Ristafarian, for bringing that to my attention, though. That was kind of entertaining. Radica, you're hilarious. All right. Ooh. Drug control priorities and not woke nonprofits with leftist policy agendas? Who are they talking about? Gross. Neat. Okay, it's 5:20, so I should probably go. Oh, thank you, Politico420, for clarifying. Politico420 on Instagram says, in regards to Oklahoma, I mean the fact that patients can purchase roughly 3 ounces for around $100. That's super cheap. Great. But also I know that Oklahoma's market is super saturated. So that's probably why it's $100. But look, capitalism applies to weed regulation as well. Thank you for joining us, Blocks. I really appreciate that. All right, everyone. Thank you, Private Lounge Insurance Center, for joining us. The only last bit of news that I didn't really get a chance to share with you, but I'm going to drop it in the comments real quick for you. Nursing students, and this was actually nurse practitioner students, overwhelmingly favor medical cannabis access at about rate of about 94%. They said they believe that it should be legal in all US states. They also said that they didn't get enough education or any education on it. And thank you. You are cool. This has been fun. We try to do this every Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. If you missed it, you can watch it on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter. It stays there. It doesn't stay on Instagram. Sorry. And if you TikTok, we have a TikTok now. NORML.org is our ID on TikTok. Please go follow us on TikTok. Please. Oh, and I want to tell you four things coming up. Our Florida chapter, Suncoast NORML, has a podcast called The Rotation. They do this Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. It is on, go back to the comments, JM. It is on YouTube. It streams on YouTube. Suncoast NORML, 11 a.m. on Sundays. If you are in Arizona, Arizona NORML is having a chapter meeting on September 3rd at 7 p.m. their time. You can find details for that on Facebook. Thank you, Arizona NORML, for putting that on Facebook and putting the word normal in the event title so I could find it. I love that. Speaking of putting things on Facebook in a way that we can find them. It's great. Thank you, Lehigh Valley NORML, for putting your annual picnic on Facebook and putting the word normal in the title so we can find it. I love that. It is September 7th from 11 to 7. You can find that on Facebook for Lehigh Valley NORML. And hey, if you are looking for an amazing event to come to, this one takes a little bit of planning, so I'm going to tell you well in advance. The 2024 NORML Key West Legal Seminar is December 5th through 7th at the Pier House Resort and Spa in Key West, Florida. Come, have fun. You will meet legal experts from around the country who specialize in cannabis law. And if you're an attorney and you need continuing legal education credits, we got you. Our legal seminars are fully accredited in all states that require CLEs for their practicing attorneys. And if you're not an attorney or you don't need CLEs, we have a discounted rate for you. You can get all the details at norml.org/Key West. Awesome. All right. Got real loud out there all of a sudden. Hey, everyone, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for your questions. I hope that you will join us back here next week so we can do this all again. Hey, have a great weekend. And as always, I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.